Pryor here with Grip Branded, hanging out with Matt Fisher today. So, in your firefighting career, what was the most rewarding thing about it, and what was one of the most struggles about it, being a firefighter?
The most rewarding thing, hands down, was just helping people. Whether it was, we made a call really late one night. It was an elderly lady, and she was just sure that her smoke detectors were going off. And we get closer and closer to her. We're looking through this whole place. Just want to help her go back to sleep. Well, her hearing aid battery was low, and so we got to change her hearing aid battery. And she was the happiest lady in the world. And so, for all my firefighters out there, we don't change batteries. We do a lot of other things, but it was those small things and those small moments that meant the world to her. Either that or literally helping somebody live another day. And there was a lot of that in the back of the ambulance where we were really aggressive with what we did, and there's probably nothing more fulfilling than meeting somebody on the other side that comes in to say thank you. You know, I'm breathing today. The challenges were, there were many, but obviously the exhaustion and things of that nature. But I think a lot of people don't really understand what we do, and that leads to a lot of challenges, and it's kind of a thankless job at times where we catch a lot of arrows, and I think if people would open up their perspective and ask a little bit more questions, they'd be. And listen, people are grateful for the fire department, and I'm grateful for that. But there are a lot that need a little bit of a wake up call to what we do and how we do it and why we do it. Mm-hmm. So that was always a challenge.
Yeah. My brother-in-law is a firefighter in Burleson, so
yeah.
I hear the stories. He'll know an address when it comes up.
Oh, yeah.
He knows exactly that somebody needs a ride to the hospital.
Yep.
Or they need their whatever. They know all the addresses of what the normal calls are that come in regularly.
Well, and the hard thing is we don't, at least the people I work with and know, you're not getting rich in the fire department. You know what I mean? You're doing it because you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah,
and
you
so
have to
to get accused of not wanting to care for people or help people, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Why do you think I'm here?
Well, I was sitting there looking at my brother-in-law. I'm like, I would not want you working on me in an ambulance. But from talking to my sister and hearing their stories, he's a whole different person.
Yeah.
When he's a firefighter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a smart guy and all, but I wouldn't want him sticking me with any needle.
Your family.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, but I hear some of the stories and the things that he's done and helped somebody with. It's like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
How many people don't know about that stuff?
Oh, man. Well, and I tell people this, it was probably the best thing in the world to help me in business because, I mean, literally you walk in and you've got a little one not breathing. And I mean, you got chaos and you've got to figure out very quickly how much that child weighs, what is potentially keeping them from breathing and how you're going to fix it. And in all respect in the world to ERs, but in that kind of an environment, you have a team of nurses, you have a doctor, you have everything. We're on a floor in someone's kitchen trying to figure out how to fix the situation right now. And so it gave me a significant calm in business because I'm like, look, ain't nobody dying, ain't nobody not breathing. We've got plenty of time to figure it out. But it also helped me think very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so for that, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I think military or police or fire is a great breeding ground for business. Helps you, one, with perspective, and then two, with just critical thinking.
Yeah. I look back, I tell people, I wish I'd have not going away from the firefighting stuff, but I think kids ought to go to military for at least 2 to 4 years out of high school.
Yeah.
Just to get them grown up,
Yep.
teach them the world, that kind of stuff, because I wish I'd have gave my country at least 2 to 4 years.
Yeah.
All my uncles did and stuff. So, but I feel like it'll make a difference in America if we had some discipline and parents are so busy and they're so sidetracked and trying to make a living.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. I feel like that would help with that problem, is getting them where they can at least give their country something back.
Absolutely.
And learn something while they're there.
Absolutely. I mean, I come from all military basically, and I was, as I said, I was pretty young. I was in the process with the Air Force, and I was working with my recruiter on that. And basically, I was super blessed. I got the first fire job that I tried for, and a lot of people, they test for a long time. And so I got offered the fire department and took it. And 3 weeks later, the recruiter called me and he's like, "Hey, I've got your opening. Let's go." And I said, "Oh man, I got hired in the fire service." And he was great. He was like, "I totally understand." But to your point, I mean, I think it's very, very, very important. It brings perspective, the idea of authority, and respect. I think all of us would benefit from at least some exposure to that.
Right. And I feel like our generation coming up, we haven't been through a lot of wars. Like
Right.
the older generation, our mom and dads and
Yep.
uncles and grandpas. But so we haven't seen the real tragedy behind some of that stuff. We see third world stuff from
Yeah.
TV, but we don't,
Yeah.
we don't have people come back telling stories about it.
Right.
On the scale of back when Vietnam and all that stuff was happening.
Absolutely.
So I look at it as if they knew what people sacrifice, to go out there and protect your country. At least
Gratitude is a
witness.
good thing.
Yes. I think it would help a lot with people maybe not be so straightforward when there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like you say, nobody's dying, everything's
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Calm your mouth for a minute. Think about what you're fixing to say. Those kind of things. I feel like that just would make a difference with us. You just learn how to communicate.
Learning how to communicate. Listening is a skill we could all practice a little bit more. I think, we're not always going to agree on everything, and that's just fine. What's interesting is I remember stories growing up as a kid, and I was born in 78, and so, through the 80s and everything, where it used to be a joke when a Republican and Democrat were friends. You know what I mean? They'd give each other a hard time. They'd give each other hell about whatever, and then they'd drink coffee. And we live in such a divided time right now. I feel like if we would just listen to each other a little bit more, we might realize that we actually like the person.
Yes.
Maybe we don't agree. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we don't hate each other.
Right. And I think me coming from a small town in rural Texas, like I even listen to some of the people that work for me. They've never went out of their comfort zone in a small town. So once I started traveling and doing work out of town and all that stuff, I learned all the demographics. I learned the people, like things that you're in your head that it's not necessarily how you see it on TV. And once you start to meet people and understand their where they come from and all the stuff in their culture, you're missing a lot if you don't do those things.
Absolutely. And we create our own bubbles out of protection and understanding, but it's so funny, when you meet someone, say you have a stereotype in your mind and you just really operate off of that, and then you meet somebody from that stereotype, you spend some time with them. I would venture to say the vast majority of the time, you're going to come away with a different perspective. You're not necessarily going to come away agreeing, but you're going to come away with a different perspective on that person and the human side of things. And that's where, we can really come together. And I hope to see more of that. You know what I mean? And again, we don't have to agree, but we can sure as hell treat each other with respect and kindness.
I think if they just get rid of the Democrat and Republican word and they just had politics, leave that alone.
In my opinion, it's all kind of the same anyway.
Right.
But, I know I probably upset people saying that, but I would just like to see it take care of people. You know what I mean? Take care of the citizens and try to bring people together would be cool.
Oh, I was talking about my mom's an old school Democrat.
Really?
Yeah, old school. They always vote on their party.
Really?
Back in the day. I mean, that was.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the Democrat and Republicans. Me have swapped.
So, yeah, they
what
flipped a little bit,
Republicans are after. Without getting in a bunch of politics. But
Right.
It's kind of from the 60s, 70s have changed to parties have kind of mixed up like that. But trying to talk politics with her is like impossible.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She's cruising. She lives in Greenville on my ranch out there. And she's cruising around with her dog with her mask on outside. And, and people are passing by like, I saw your mom with her mask and her dog and all this stuff. I was like, Mom. Putting a mask outside for her. But she just I feel like that era, they put a lot of fear in them.
Yeah.
Of you don't act out of anything that's you weren't taught.
Right.
Don't explore a lot. So I'm a 78 model too. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, and it was weird. You were talking, and I was like, I did the same exact thing. I was going to go to the Air Force.
Yeah.
Talking to my recruiter, and the ranch I was working for ended up selling, and he needed me to go build a new one in Greenville.
Oh, okay.
It was in Rockwall. I moved to Greenville, and when all that happened, I'm like, man, I was just fixing to do it, and I'm like, when I got that call, I was like, well,
yep,
here
life just took a different turn.
Yeah, I was all prepped, got all my stuff ready to ship out whenever, and wait for that call, and that's weird how that similar story.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why I even chose the Air Force. To be honest with you.
Well, so for me, the medical side of things always really, I wanted to be a parajumper. So specifically, I went through all the different opportunities, I guess, and that was the one that really stuck out to me. And that's why I had to wait a little while because there's kind of, they track you on different things. And so I was very specific that I wanted to be a parajumper, and that just, didn't work out for whatever reason. But that's why it was Air Force for me.
I got you. So brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have a brother. He's 6 years older than me, and my sister's 8 years older than me. They live literally across the street from this building.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they live.
That's crazy.
They live right over there. Well, my brother lives down a little bit further. He's in Boyd, I should say. But my sister, my parents, and then my sister's daughter, my niece, and her husband, they live in that neighborhood right there. And they've all moved to Decatur. So I moved here about 7.5 years ago, and I told them all, I'm like, this is where it's at. And then one by one, they've all moved out here, and everybody loves it. So
Yeah. So define Decatur, Texas, because I built our location in Decatur right when COVID was starting.
that's when the first restaurant is when we started.
Really?
Yeah.
That was-
Well, not the coffee bar, the restaurant, but yeah.
Yeah, that was scary. I was getting in debt to do this. Had
Oh, yeah.
no idea. Everything was going good. And then when COVID happened,
Yep.
I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
Yep.
I finally put some major risk out there and it's fixing to come back to haunt me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it took it a good, coming into Decatur and people not knowing me, that was
Right.
a struggle because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a cliquish town.
You're moving.
Yes. So getting that and then COVID, it took a good year or two for this thing to fire off over here. But it does great now. But like moving into Decatur, I had no idea.
It's terrifying. And you know what's interesting is I say this, businesses that existed through COVID or started during COVID, we had an accelerated, if you made it through, you learned something. There's
Right.
no way you couldn't
Right.
have, because you received all kinds of challenges. And so, if you made it through that time and were able to kind of circle the wagons, I think you kind of leveled up, if you will, as a business person, because man, the challenges were just coming from every different direction in every industry.
Right.
And especially for you, I bet at the time, just trying to get material
Was the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Material and then the price gouging.
just so high.
Yeah. And we went in over vendors, we had 30-day terms that we've never even used. But we're going in there and they wanted money up front just
Yep.
to order stuff.
Yep.
And then trying to explain that to a client, like, hey, I need $100,000 down on a $600,000 bill up front to order all your stuff so I can make sure it's here in 6 months.
Yeah. And I'm
It's hard to
hoping
explain.
it's here in 6
Yeah,
months.
right. And that was the hardest thing to sell to clients. Like,
Yeah.
because in our industry, you have a lot of people that go out there, they take a big chunk of money and they run.
Yeah.
They don't ever see them again. So, trying to ask for that at that time, and they're looking around, watching the news and all stuff. Who wants to get somebody $100,000 that up front? That was
Yeah.
a hard thing to get past.
I would bet though it built your business on trust, so that when you get through, that's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. When you get through the other side and those people got their buildings, you did a great job, and that's what builds the business and keeps it sustainable.
Yeah.
Because to your point, there were plenty of people that didn't make it through and or did some crooked stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a lot. It was pretty sickening watching it for about 2 years. You see a slab poured and then it'd be grass growing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Because somebody got robbed from their money or couldn't afford to finish because stuff went up so much.
Exactly.
We lost a little under $1 million that year after COVID just because of material increases.
Yeah.
I didn't go up on nobody. I still charged the same. I wasn't doing change orders, and banks were just blown away
Yeah.
because I didn't want them to go back and get another loan.
Exactly.
That loan they already have
Yeah.
and add to it.
Yep.
So we just figured it out. Worked harder.
Yep.
So
Well, and I have to believe that probably service you very, very well moving forward.
oh yeah. So what is your grit? What
Well,
defines your grit?
I think it's for me, my kids, the people that depend on their paychecks, the people that we get to serve, you know what I mean? That's highly inspiring for me. And so to make sure that it's not born out of a place of not wanting to disappoint, it's wanting to rise to the challenge, I think. And so that is a challenge that I can look at my kids and be proud of what I'm doing. And the people who come in, I can be proud of the way that we're serving them, product that we're giving them. And that's what gets me up. That's what inspires me. That's what helps me. Every day in business is something that wants to shut you down or get in the way. And if you don't have grit, if you don't have your eye on what the goal is, those things tend to win.
Yeah.
And so for me, yeah, it's just making sure my kids are provided for. I'm giving them a good example that I'm proud of, and I'm proud of the business that we're doing.
Awesome. So if you had to give yourself at 18 years old advice, or you had to give an 18-year-old advice right now, what would that be?
Yeah. In general, I think it's, open up your perspective. It's what we talked about earlier. open up your perspective on the environment around you and how you participate with it. Because we're all geared. You don't have to tell a 2-year-old how to lie or tell them how to say no. You know, we're all wired up a certain way. And we look at life through our own perspective. And so good, bad, and different, I wanted them to challenge that ideology. Like, there's a big world around you, and this whole thing ain't about you. And the sooner you can understand that simple principle, whatever it is that you're doing will help inform your work ethic, the way you treat others, what you value. And I think that's what I would tell them is, like, understand clearly that this world don't revolve around you, and you can be a good and big part of it, but work really, really hard.
Yeah, I 1,000,000% agree with that. Yeah, I mean, these little things they hold in their hand all the time. The one cool thing about our industry, the Western industry, when you go to a horse show, you go to rodeo, very rarely will you see a kid walk around on a phone.
Oh, no. My daughter's real involved in ag, and I mean, if they are, usually I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm trying to figure out what class I'm in. I'm like, okay, well, that's fair.
Right. So she's an ag?
Uh-huh.
What does she do?
Well, we started with pigs, and again, this is the beautiful thing about the ag industry as well. You know, she's a first-generation ag kid, which they really like to celebrate. I'm like, man, we didn't have any pigs or cows in Detroit, I promise you. Well, there's a lot of farming, but not where I was, and so it's been awesome for me to learn with her. But she showed pigs first year, then steer, and then she's on a heifer this year, and so probably next year will be her senior year. And then my youngers all want to start with either goats or sheep, and so. My business partner, I'm super blessed. He has a ranch in Bridgeport, and so he has another ranch out in New Mexico. Been really involved in cattle for a long time and oil and gas, and so he's kind of opened up the doors for us a lot and allowed her to work at the ranch, but also learn. And so I'm just right on that journey with her, and I've fallen in love with it. I found myself at stock shows and rodeos or jackpots, and I'm like learning on the fly, but it's awesome.
Yeah, that's where I'm going tomorrow. My daughter is showing in San Antonio. She built a trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, she doing ag mech?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Welding. Like this.
Yeah.
So both, they're identical twins, but this one's the foo-foo one.
Okay.
And I never thought in my lifetime would be a welder or any of that stuff, but she just rolls right in there, top to bottom, just black.
That's
just
awesome.
Running around and steel and all that. But going to her first show is tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So y'all are headed down there tonight?
Tomorrow, or in the morning.
Oh, in the morning. Oh, okay.
They're going to set up tomorrow, and then Saturday they're going to show. So,
that's awesome.
But she's very nervous, but I'm so proud of her. I mean, I was just blown away what she's done in a year's time with this trailer. It's cool.
That's awesome.
And it teaches these kids so much to me when they're in the 4-H and FFA.
Oh yeah.
Especially, I like the inner city kids to get involved.
Oh yeah.
That's what I really gets them out of their normal day-to-day stuff and get them in there and get them to learn stuff. You know, and how to work with your hands and how to take care of something. Because most of them don't know how to take care of themselves. So
yeah.
They can learn to take care of an animal. They can take care of themselves from there.
It builds so much. And I've been able to witness it in my short time with it. But I absolutely love what it does. There's something just natural about the whole thing when I get to be out on the ranch and even just feeding with her and everything. There's just something that feels very, very right about the whole thing. And it's hard work. You know, she's loading up 20 bags at a time, 50 pounds, loading up the Kubota and going out and feeding and breaking ice when it's cold and all the other things. She's 17, you know. And so, to your point, she's working.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, Matt, we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Cool stories. Great
Thank
time.
you.
Good
I
luck
really
with your
appreciate
coffee.
you having me. Thank you.
Make sure and like us on social media and follow us so you can catch some behind the scenes footage as well as on our YouTube channel. Check out the entire podcast in video.